So welcome to Pink Couch Conversations with Carmalita. Today I have the Glamazon Tyomi sexologist. Thank you for coming today.
Thanks for having me on the couch.
When I tell you, when I first got this couch, I was like, this couch is literally the representation of my highest manifestation. Like a pink couch, I'm like, yeah. But then like getting to talk to you on camera is like, I'm totally like fangirling out right now because I have been following you for years. So like I have goosebumps and I'm trying not to be like a super nerd, but I'm like, oh my God, bitch, you know who I have on my couch? So like, I'm gonna try to like, I'm gonna try to play it cool. But like my religion is divine timing and like alignment. And so in January, you made a post on Instagram and I'm getting worked up a little bit thinking about it because it's like you spoke to my soul. Like you said a year ago, your partner had left you and had he not, you would have stayed. And so my story is very similar in that, like you were saying, how you have your perfect dog now and you're the most financially stable and like all of these things. And so my story is the reverse, where I was the one who did the leaving. It was so hard for me to leave, but we got married really young and we just were not compatible, And so I had to make the choice for myself to leave because I thought I was the problem. But now, like where I am in my life, almost 4 years later, I'm like, me and my little baby dog, I have my pink couch and all my plant babies. And it's just like, it just felt so good to see someone else who's like, you know what? I'm appreciative of the severing of a relationship because now as a woman and as an individual person, I can be my highest self. So then when I am pursuing romance again in a more permanent way or in a different way, whatever, I will be different because I am different. I will be more whole as opposed to coming into a situation like partially yourself. So I just wanted to talk to you about that because, you just spoke my whole everything and it just felt good to feel seen.
Yeah, you know what? I just felt like 2020 was a rough year for like the world. And it was a blessing in disguise for me because it sat me down, but then also going through that process of breakup, like I hadn't had a breakup in years because it was a long time in between that I had been in a committed relationship. And so in that relationship, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to surrender and just go with the flow. Just go with whatever is coming in through this relationship. And things just got to a point where community broke down. And I think that there's just like a lot of assuming and a lot of projecting. And the breakup was like spoon-fed over the course of a year. So the breakup really started in 2019 and I knew it, even though I was being reassured that that wasn't happening. I had seen these patterns before. Still, I chose grace and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go along with this because I had decided at the initiation of the relationship, let's just go with the flow and just go along with whatever this person is suggesting. So when the final walking papers came through, because it literally was a letter that was sent via mail, snail mail, a 42-page letter.
Shut up.
It was like 42 to 47 pages.
White computer paper, like.
You were lying. So he sent you a novel.
He sent me a grand novel.
Wow.
And in the beginning of it said, just know that this is what you asked for. Now, okay. I asked for transparency and honesty during the initial spoon feeding process because our communication just really stopped. Like here was someone that I was talking to practically every day to now you're picking and choosing when you want to speak to me, how you want to speak to me, barely picking up my phone calls, being very cryptic in what you're saying, sending emails and text messages, and then just calling randomly when you want. And then just completely stopping communication and then sending this letter as the final bow out. And then also telling me not to respond. It was all very triggering, the entire experience. But through that breakup process though, I realized that I was codependent.
And so much stuff started to
make sense for me, not only in that relationship, but in all of my past romantic relationships and relationships in general with family and friends. And I started going through a little spiral. Like 2019 was hard, okay? 2020 the hardest hit was that breakup for me personally. And then I had to just go through it. And so I did not want to go through the process of healing on the internet. I am not the kind of person that uses social media as a diary. And I'll tell you why. Because people think you're fucking crazy.
Real shit. Yes, they do.
It's documented. You can't get rid of it, because guess what people do? They screenshot and shit, and then they'll like share that stuff later and use it as ammunition. But also, people don't forget. So if you have a history of just airing out all your dirty laundry on social media, people aren't going to believe you the next time you get into a relationship or have another opportunity that comes up. And honestly, I'm not here to live for other people and what they think of me, but also like the healing process is difficult enough than to add the whole world into your business. Plus, I still have a brand to maintain, and I still had to work. I had a whole tour, a world tour that I planned, and it started, and I came back from Sundance Film Festival, and then boom, this letter's in my mailbox. So it took me, like, I allowed myself to go through the grieving process for like a few months. And then I remember in April, I was like, all right, cut it. Let's go. Like, let's start. And I was already doing the work from the moment that letter came in. But I really told myself, like, let's not fall into victimhood.
Yeah.
Let's remember what you asked God for in going into that relationship. So let's start to dissect and pick out the things that you asked God for and start integrating them. And remember who this person was to you when you first got into the relationship. Not this wounded duckling that you're seeing in front of you right now, who is also projecting some things and not even realizing it in this letter. And also use the things that you feel uncomfortable with from that relationship as signage of what you would like to experience differently in your next relationship. So instead of me being like, fuck this dude, I'm gonna go stalk him and go tear up his stuff. Like, what purpose does that serve? You know what I mean? Like, all it does is make you look crazy and it wastes time.
Absolutely.
So everyone close to me who know me and who knew him and saw us together, they're like, I don't even understand, like, how you have been able to be so graceful through this whole thing and not utter a hateful, harmful word about this person. But I was like, well, because the relationship was founded on love, and even the separation was rooted in love. Even though I felt hurt by it, it wasn't the actual separation that I felt hurt by. It was the idea of what the separation meant that I was choosing to use to hurt myself. And so when I realized, like, people break up every day, B.
You be alright, nigga. You tough, right?
Like, I was like, oh, well.
Listen. See, I had such an internal conflict with this severing, because I had built my life on this idea of perfectionism for me. And so for me, it was like, I did all the things by the book. You go to college, you do you marry the guy, you date in college, all these things. And so for me, divorce was the ultimate failure. And so when I chose to leave my ex, it was the first time I had driven a long distance. I drove from Los Angeles to the Bay to San Francisco to visit my best friend. And that was the longest trip I'd ever taken. Like, I just got my license at 21, got married at 22. So I didn't drive long distances. I was low-key afraid to drive, but I was like, if I can drive this 8 hours, I can do anything, right? And so now I've driven across the country and done all types of crazy stuff. But at the time I was like you said, very codependent. For me, it was if you get a divorce, you are a failure. If you can't make your marriage work, you have failed. And I didn't do failure. I don't fail. I don't fuck up. I'm Carmalita. Not that I thought I was this perfect, prissy girl, but I was very intentional about everything I did in my life. I got good grades. Because for me, it was either you're perfect or you're going to be an addict like your mother, or you're going to have mental health issues like such and such. Or so I was just I know what the opposite of perfectionist looks like. So for me, just do all the things you're supposed to do and you're gonna have like a perfect life. Turns out you can't like plan everything. So it got to a point where I was so like just tight in myself because I'm like, I'm miserable, but I have everything I've ever wanted. I had the little dog, I had a new car, I was making more money than I've ever made before. I just got my master's. So on paper, I had it together.
Right.
But in myself, I was like battling with this like incessant depression and unhappiness. And I was like, well, what's the one thing in my life that feels off or feels like heavy? And it was my relationship. And I was like, you married this man. So you don't. So I was like, you gotta let it go. And so for me, and I was like, and still a very public person. And so because my relationship was so public, I was the opposite. And I made my divorce very public as well. I like posted a picture and I was like, I'm leaving my marriage in 2019, or no, I'm sorry, 2017. When's that divorce? 2017. And then I turned off the comments because I was like, I don't want to hear shit from nobody. So like, I'm putting it out there because I don't want no, oh, I'm sorry, I'm apologizing. I'm like, why are you guys apologizing?
Don't you hate that?
What are you sorry for?
You know what?
I was screaming the entire time. I'm like, please save your I'm sorries, because why are you sorry? What did you had nothing to do with this. And I understand that people say it because it's like a nicety, you know?
Absolutely.
I don't feel sorry that I chose to level up after a breakup, and the separation was the best thing for both of us. Now we both get to live our lives the way that we want. And I'm in such a good space. I'm never going back. I'm not going back to that.
But where you are now, the reason you can confidently say, I'm not going back, is because you've had a separation and you know who the fuck you are alone.